On the vast plains of East Africa, a herd of plain zebra moves in its familiar rhythm. Hundreds of black and white bodies flowing together like a living river across the grassland. Among them, a mare in her prime. Distinguished only by a faint scar along her shoulder from a childhood brush with a hyena. Weeks ago, a sudden stumble on uneven ground during a panicked stampede left her with a strained foreleg. It healed unevenly. Enough to walk, not enough to keep pace. In a herd built entirely around collective speed and safety in numbers, falling even slightly behind changes everything. Now, with each day, the gap between her and the herd's center grows a little wider. And on the open savanna, distance from the herd is measured not in meters, but in risk. The herd moves on toward fresh grazing, and the mare limps to keep them in sight, no longer at the safety of the herd's core, but trailing at its edge, the position most exposed to predators, most watched by circling opportunists. Without the constant motion and mutual grooming of the herd's center, something else has taken hold. Ticks, drawn to the stillness of her slower pace, have begun accumulating along her neck, flanks, and the sensitive skin around her eyes. What would normally be managed by the herd's collective vigilance now goes unchecked. She favors her injured leg, grazing in short bursts, head rising often to scan the horizon. Every rest is a calculated risk. Every parasite left to feed weakens her further, exactly when she can least afford it. Survival here depends on a delicate balance, and right now, that balance is tipping against her. Then, as she pauses beneath the sparse shade of an acacia, a small group of red-billed oxpeckers arrives, descending from a nearby tree in a flurry of red and gray. They land along her back and neck without hesitation, immediately beginning their methodical work. Sharp, precise beaks move through her coat, plucking ticks from the places she cannot reach herself, behind her ears, along her mane, deep in the folds near her eyes. The mare stands still, ears relaxing slightly for the first time in days, the bird's presence a small mercy in an otherwise unforgiving stretch. The oxpeckers work quickly, drawn by an abundant meal, but their reach ends at her legs. The very limb she needs most to heal remains beyond their help. The parasites lowest on her body, in the creases near her hooves, will need a different kind of intervention. For that, she will need to reach the river and the herd that waits beside it. Ahead, where the grassland meets a wide, slow-moving river,
The herd has gathered to drink. The same herd she has been trailing for days. Slowly, favoring her weakened leg, the mare closes the distance, driven by instinct as much as necessity. As she wades into the shallows alongside dozens of other zebra, small African barbs gather around the legs of the herd, drawn by the disturbance of dozens of hooves stirring sediment and loosening parasites. They move quickly to her legs specifically, nibbling at ticks and dead skin in the exact places the oxpeckers couldn't reach. For the first time in weeks, she stands surrounded, not isolated at the herd's trailing edge, but immersed among her own kind. The collective safety of numbers restored, if only for these few minutes at the water's edge. Fish work along a dozen sets of striped legs at once, an entire herd receiving the same quiet care simultaneously. The mare's weight shifts more evenly now, the old injury easing slightly in the cool water. Nearby, a young foal splashes playfully, unaware of the quiet drama that brought his mother's herdmate back to the water's edge today. Above, an oxpecker lands briefly on a neighboring zebra's back, continuing the same ancient partnership played out across the entire herd. This is the savanna's rhythm at its most complete. Birds above, fish below, and stripes moving together as one. As the herd begins to move again, grazing their way toward the horizon, the mare falls into step near the group's flank. Not fully recovered, but no longer trailing so dangerously far behind. Her leg still favors caution, but the parasite burden that compounded her weakness has been A nearby mare, one she has grazed beside for years, drifts closer, and for a moment they walk shoulder to shoulder. The simple proximity itself, a form of protection neither could offer alone. In herds like this, survival is rarely a solitary act. The oxpeckers scatter into the acacia canopy. The barbs return to stiller water downstream. Neither will remember this particular mare, this particular day. Theirs is an instinct repeated constantly across thousands of animals, indifferent to individual stories. But for one zebra, on one difficult stretch of savanna, that instinct made all the difference. She moves forward now, stripes catching the late afternoon light, one recovering step closer to the safety of the only life she has ever known, surrounded, finally, by her own.